Let's bring in Gary calling from Florida, is asking, are we just passing shadows in a godless universe? Which sounds like a bordering on nihilism, perhaps. But welcome in, Gary, talking to Justin and Paul on the line. How are you?
Greetings, Justin and Paul. Thank you. Yeah, that quote is it is a quote from a novel by E.M. Forster, an English novelist. And there was a movie called Passage to India. And David Lean, the great director, made it into a movie. And I watched the movie. This was a long time ago. And this was colonial India with the English occupying. And the matriarch of the family in the novel comes up against the rather dizzying cosmology and spirituality and religions of ancient India. And it kind of wrecks her bearings when it comes to her Christian faith. And she muses in the movie, are we all just passing shadows in a godless universe? And because some aspects of Hinduism and Buddhism comes across as an atheism, and so she was just wondering, and she has a heart attack and she dies later. Okay, so anyway, so that's the deal. But I want to use that. So basically, I'm a transcendentalist. But I'm just going to locate my conversation here within the universe, the materialistic universe, matter, energy, space, and time. So I'm asking you, as an atheist, are we just passing shadows in a godless universe? Godless being, I'm an atheist. There's no evidence. I'm not going to believe in something that doesn't have sufficient even reason or evidence. And passing shadows, that's just a poetic way of saying transitory. There's a radical impermanence, transitoriness to life, no God. So are we not saying, if we are a bona fide atheist, in that sense, yes, we are all just passing shadows in a godless universe? Would you agree with that?
I don't know what you mean by shadow, but I know Paul and I believe we're in a godless universe and we are passing through. I personally am not a nihilist, even though I'm the first one to admit that we are little insignificant like dusts in the universe. We're like cosmic accidental dust that had a great run in a pocket of a biological planet that just happened to be right for the conditions of life. And one day our whole solar system will be completely destroyed. Our whole planet will be completely destroyed and there will be no life on this planet. So like in the grand scheme of things, yeah, enjoy your life. One day, none of this will be here whatsoever. But I wouldn't say that we're like passing shadows. I still think that because I have, like meaning and purpose. I know other people have meanings and purposes for their lives, and they have feelings and thoughts and emotions. If I experience somebody else and they bring me joy and love and peace, and I know I can do that to others, I still think we owe it to ourselves to say, hey, I don't know how long we're going to be here, but I still think we owe it to ourselves to have the best, awesome biological experience that can be experienced. And fuck, I don't know, maybe we'll get off this rock and survive it. But in the meantime, I don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about the nihilistic stuff. I'm just having a good time.
I agree with your statement, except for one word. I would take the word just out of there. We are passing shadows in a godless universe, but I don't like the word just, because life is crazy that it came together, and that there is a group of molecules that currently seem to be me. They seem to be an entity that is me. That's pretty cool. And even though my life sometimes has been hard and not as fun as other times, this is the one and only chance that this that this configuration of molecules is going to get. And so, like anything, scarcity increases value as opposed to decreases value. If this was going to go on forever, every day would necessarily have to be less important than it is for me, who recognizes that it's not going to go on forever. So those are my thoughts. Gary, do you see problems with our point of view on this? Does it match yours? What do you think?
Well, yeah, it's very good. Thanks. I like it. I like it so far. Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. I got my listening ears on. I understand. And I have a hard time. I'm trying to wrestle with something personally, and that's why I'm calling. And I cannot get through life myself without having some kind of mythic mindset. I've tried. I left Christianity, Old and New Testament. I've read the Quran about 4 or 5 times. I left that. Went to Buddhism, left that because of all of the karma and reincarnation BS. I then kind of landed in Japanese mythology, and I won't get into that. But look, what I'm trying to say is I find myself needing some kind of mythic mindset. And what happened was I was listening to a short TikTok that had Elon Musk. And Elon Musk was talking about his view about the meaning of the universe. I said, okay, well, let me just listen to his mythology, because I believe everybody has their mythology. And he was asked about, what's going on with this universe? What do you think? And I've always tried to figure him out, because he's not a Christian. And he said this. He said, the universe is the answer. That's what I believe. Whatever the universe is, it's the answer. That's what Elon Musk said. And so the problem is, he said, here's the problem, is that, yes, we have the answer, but we don't have the question. So we need to learn and look at.
This is Douglas Adams. This is 42 is the answer, and then they had to make another computer to figure out what the question was.
There you go. You know what? He actually, thank you, Paul. He did bring that up, and I forgot about that. But yes, he said we need to have the right question, and so he believes that science will expand. But what do you need,
Gary? Gary, we like to have a little bit of back and forth in the calls. Like, what is it that you need? Do you have a fear of missing out if there's no afterlife? Do you think that this is the one and only life you get? What's the story here?
Okay. The story. Okay. Let me bottom line Elon Musk very quickly, and then I'll answer your question. So basically, he believes in a Promethean hubris of indefinite progress. Indefinite progress. That's Elon Musk's religion. So, okay. So I thought about that. I said, could I adopt that as a mythic mindset of sorts? And I just can't, because I don't believe, it's not satisfying. And I'm using this phrase very specifically, it's profoundly dissatisfying, this whole idea of a Promethean hubris of indefinite progress. It doesn't do anything. It's empty to me.
Gary,
science. Yeah.
Gary, so I have a thing where I don't care one lick about the utility of an idea unless I know that the idea is true. It sounds like you are the opposite. It sounds like you are in search of an idea with the greatest possible utility, and you seem to be very secondarily concerned about whether it's true. Are our epistemologies as opposite as I am suggesting or reading here?
I am with you. I throw in with you when it comes to science and evidence being the epistemology, the scientific project.
That's not what I said, though. That's not what I said. I said, do you care if it's true? Because it seems like you care more about whether it's useful than whether it's true. And I'm just...
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Wow, I have to sit back. I have to step back here. That is fascinating to me. How you got me to put my head on straight and look at that question. I have a difficulty in separating the two. In other words, this importance that I have in my life is the truth. It is the truth. Facts are facts.
Yeah, like you don't... It doesn't sound like you and I have the same definition of truth, if that's the case. My definition of truth is what most accurately conforms to reality as adjudicated by predictive power. Do you have a different definition of truth?
Yes. Can I explain?
Please.
I promise I'll make it interesting. Okay. It has to do with ontology. Specifically, I said I was a transcendentalist. This has to do with the ancient Socratic dialogues of Plato, and he posits his ontology. Now, let's take a look at science. Science, to many people, atheists, gives us the truth, but to me, that truth about science is that it works. It works. Scientific evidence and scientific demonstration works, but just because it works, yes, but just because it works doesn't mean it has ontological certainty or ontological status. And if it doesn't have ontological status or ontological certainty, it isn't truth for me. Just because it works doesn't mean it has any ontology. If it doesn't have ontology,
what does ontological certainty look like to you? Because if you sounds like you've been going through all the religions, you've listed off you've tried all of them, and they just don't seem to vibe with you. Is ontological certainty? Because certainty doesn't. You can be completely certain or have at least high confidence in an idea that isn't correct. You can also accidentally be correct about an idea that you don't feel very strongly about. So how many blades? Are there an odd number of even blades of grass in the world or an even number of blades of grass in the world? I don't feel very certain about it, but perhaps I will guess the correct one. So does certainty, is certainty emotional to you, or what does certainty mean, if not predictive power?
Okay. Wow. Listen, you're talking to a guy that has a high level of regard for the scientific project, that we can land rovers on Mars because of predictive power, experiments, rockets, engineering. It works. It works. The thing of it is, I know it works in my life. Okay, if I do this and if I exercise, I can be healthy. If I change my diet, I can help my diabetes. It has predictive power. Yes, I get it. I have respect for it. But it just doesn't do it for me when it comes to meaning, when it comes to
vibes.
Let's go back to Plato. Plato ontology is simply this: beingness. Ontology, onto means being. So ontology means the study of being. So this is the crux, and I'm getting to it. Thank you for your patience. Is that I long for something that is immutable. And Plato's ontology posits a beingness that doesn't suffer from fluctuation or change. It is being. It is transcendental. And for some reason, I need that kind of ontology. Just because it works, okay, that's fine, but that doesn't get rid of the flux, the uncertainty, the change, the whole life and death scenario.
You understand, Gary, you're describing things that work for you. You're describing whether or not something works for you just at an emotional level, just on a satisfaction level. Like, these are not, you are still describing utility of these ideas, not the truthfulness of these ideas. You're describing about whether they make you, whether they let you sleep better at night.
In a manner of speaking, you're right. Yes.
And so again, I'm sorry, Justin, I've kind of taken over this whole weird thing.
This is more in your wheelhouse. I want you to take this one.
But so I mean, I don't know why Justin and I are supposed to care what you, Gary, vibe with more when it comes to things that can't be falsified. Like, that's cool, but it's not much different than me calling into a show and say, "Hi, I like pineapple on pizza." Cool. Like, it's do you get from where my perspective that those are things I can equate?
Yes, I can. I can see from your perspective the equivalency, and I guess am
I wrong in that, Gary? Am I doing something wrong with the way I view the world? Is my epistemology flawed?
From my perspective, since you said I'll ping pong, we'll play a little ping pong, and hopefully it'll be advantageous in some way. Yes, I believe that there is something to discover about your life, something that's extremely personal and profound that can affect your psychology and your emotional reality. Because I just can't. Yeah, right. You know, I'm trying to respect where you're coming from. In other words, listen.
Feel free to not respect. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you are you're being a very active listener. I appreciate that. But also, if I'm wrong about my epistemology, I really want to know, Gary. I want to know that if I'm looking at this all wrong. So don't be afraid to hurt my feelings and say, "Paul, you're thinking about this all wrong because X, Y, and Z." But right now, what you're telling me is actually things that are personal preference. You're telling me things about psychology, which is actually a field that can be understood and makes falsifiable predictions. You're telling me that you seem to be telling me that there's maybe my life doesn't have the meaning that I think it does. I'm curious as how you can know that.
Right.
Fire away. Tell me where I'm wrong. I'm here to be wrong. I'm not here to be right.
I was talking to Jimmy about this. This was months ago, and we had a good laugh.
We're nicer than Jimmy.
He said he boiled it down to, Gary, is any of this going to make my life better or not? And I thought about that, and I said a big resounding no. I can still hear it ringing in my ear. And so that's why I don't have any proselytizing impetus in any way. I love to share deeply, and ontology, Platonic ontology, I find to be inescapable. I find it impossible to live in a universe of just change, life, death, flux, more change, novelty, more novelty. I mean, look at the universe. What are we discovering? Look, okay, let's look at the universe. You know, I watch these astronomers, Carl Sagan and all the rest of them, and they say, we made a new exciting discovery. But what is the discovery? Well, we found a new wave function, or we found a different property of a particle, or we found that the inflation theory of the universe, which posits that there could be an indefinite number of universes if inflation it turns out to be true, and we do more experiments. But I'm listening to this. I'm listening, and all I get is just more. There's just more galaxies, more stars, more this.
Yeah,
change. Yeah.
Ontology, correct me if I'm wrong. Ontology is just asking, but why though, one more time than the person you're talking to. If I'm willing to say, but why though 20 times, and you're willing to say, but why though 21 times, it seems like that's the person who gets to feel or philosophically superior because they asked, but why though one extra time?
Yes, yes. Oh boy, I'm in a fix because I'm basing everything on a philosophical presupposition, and I can go to Immanuel Kant and Plato and go to the analogy of the cave. You've heard of Plato's cave. I can delve into that for you and say, okay, well, here's what we think is reality. This book that was published in 431 BC, The Republic, and he says, okay, look, we're in this cave. And so there's this cave, and everybody's chained inside of this cave. And there's people squatting down, sitting in this cave, and they're looking at this wall. And the wall has shadows in it. Of course, they see shadows because there's a fire behind them, and someone is playing with puppets.
The cave allegory. I think we both know it, right?
Yeah, that's it. The cave allegory. And so he says, well, by chance, now get this, some nerve, really, Plato has some nerve. He doesn't tell you how, but somehow one of the guys escaped from the cave, and he sees that those shadows, the universe, matter, energy, space, time, is really just shadows on a wall. It has no ontology. There's no beingness to it. And so he gets outside the cave and he discovers this, and then he tries to go back inside the cave to free the other prisoners. And that's what the philosopher is.
So is that what you called
Socrates.
in? Gary, are you the person coming? Are Justin and I the people in the cave, and you called in tonight to tell us that it's more than just the cave? Is that what's happening here?
Wow, I'm glad I called tonight because I like the pushback, and I mean that sincerely. I'm not, remember I just said I don't have this proselytizing wire in my brain.
Right, but you called for a reason. This is what I want to get to. What did you call in for? What did you hope to partake to us or learn from us? Or did you just want to have a chat?
Yeah, because I'm starting to feel like we've come full circle where the cave allegory is what you actually meant by shadows.
Ah, very good. I literally did not make the connect, but yes, that's what you got it. You nailed it, Justin. You brought it full circle. And my friends in real life tell me, Gary, I don't feel like you're pushing anything on me, but you do have an enthusiasm. I can tell that you're being sincere. You're not yanking anybody's chain, and you like to get into these areas. But what do you want? What is it? I'm going to end it this way, and thank you for your patience, and you've been very kind. But this is the deal. Deep scholars who have studied the ancient Socratic dialogues of Plato have come to this conclusion, because what's going on here with these dialogues? What is this transcendentalism? Okay, the thing of it is, they've concluded is that the answer is in the very dialogue. Now, that's what we've been having right now, a dialogue. And I've read the books, and it's intriguing that there isn't a punchline per se, but in the very midst of the dialogue, the Socratic dialogue is the revelation of the transcendental. And so I love the dialogue. I think in the very midst of it is the revelation, the truth, the ontology. And that's the best I can do.
So it sounds like you agree with us that what you value are these passing shadows, and that you want to go to a coffee shop and have your shadows pass along with people. And anyway, Gary, this has been an interesting conversation. I don't know that we're getting to. I hope you found it interesting. I hope the audience was able to learn some things. Justin, do you have anything else to add, or are we good?
I think we've covered enough ground.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope I didn't shooting the shit, as they say. I'm not doing that. I wouldn't do that. I don't believe in that.
I think, Gary, that is what you value most in life. I think you enjoy. I think, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let me tell you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But I do think that is actually where your ontology lies. I think that you enjoy exploring. I think you enjoy the exploration, not in the destination.
Oh, okay. Yes, I got it. Thank you for saying that. I kind of got, I have to admit, I got a bit confused.
Okay.
Well, listen, guys, Justin and Paul, 1,000 salutations to you. I may call again in the future. I probably will, but thank you for your time.
Thanks,
It's
Gary.
good to hear from you, Gary.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers, friend.
Hey there, Eric. Noting that anyone watching that clip makes atrociously poor life decisions, where should they send their protection money to prevent further damage?
All protection money should be sent to patreon.com/calltheline, or else we will break your kneecaps.
Okay, we can't say that. I think we can't say that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hit like and subscribe.